The whole thing is bathed in mist. There is no definition in any sort, you know. The sky is gray. No horizon. You cannot see further than 20, 50 meters. And you see that she is startled by something. And she sees, and where you look at what she sees, and you see as well, is a sort of a misty figure. It looks, it's the shape, possibly the size of a goblin, but the color isn't right. The color is the skin is white, almost as white as the fog, and it slips in between rocks and suddenly disappears as starting from one of those bushes nearby, not far from you. The troll, midget, is this big shape, was just like, possibly like, you know, as still as a stone, you know, like just like he was hidden just in, he appeared to be a stone, like, and he jumps out, and you see just basically a stone transforming into a troll. Or you don't understand, but he's suddenly in part of the picture, and he jumps and grabs a big rock and throw it towards the goblin figure. He was like, run away! And the rock, like, you hear this thud. The rock falls somewhere beyond the mist. The goblin figure is gone. And suddenly Oswalda goes like, midget! My baby! And Mama! He goes. And he goes like, you know, he's scared of you guys, you know. He crouches, you know, and start to approach, you know, like, Mama, my baby. She goes, let him come. He'll do nothing to you. He's fine. He's not like the others. He's my baby. Midget. Mama.
Oh my god.
Okay, I guess I have unsheathed my sword as a reflex act, because, you know,
I pick up a torch, a lightened torch, and keep it next to me. But I perhaps I don't advance. I give him a little bit of space to approach.
Okay, he looks like a big gorilla, you know, with this gray scaled, stony, you know, I don't know, just a troll, you know, a gray troll. It's not huge. He walks on fours. He looks to the side, you know, at the torch, you know. Mama. And she goes like, she tries to, you know, she's attached, you know, her legs are bound. And she offers her arms to him, you know, and he goes like, you know, and they do this thing, you know, the touch fingers.
I walk towards where he threw the rock, but without, I mean, like keeping an eye on the troll and another eye on the rock, you know, like.
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
Yeah, I ask him, a midget, first of all, behave. But second, what were you throwing your rocks at?
Oh, okay. And Oswalda goes, he's so murky. Have you not seen it?
What is murk?
I haven't, right?
I don't
I
know.
only saw him throwing a rock.
He's this thing. He is half goblin, half whatever. Some say Even the orcs, even Krit, the goblin-captain, is scared of him. All the orcs here, they're either making joke about him, to let go of the fear. They don't like it. Murky is different. They say
What is it?
I have no idea. He looks like a goblin. It's an old one. Ancient. The orcs say that he was here even before Radgul came and took over Mount Graham. They say he is the soul of the mountain. The keeper. They don't really know. They're just too scared. All they ask is why Radgul is not getting rid of him yet. That's all I know about it. But this thingy, this murky, seems like he's everywhere. And also, like the magpies are doing his bidding somehow. But nobody knows for sure.
Too many things happening. There are too many things happening.
So this
let me
Murky
see if I
knows
can-
that
if I
we
can-
are here. I have seen him. A shadowy shape. A
Oh,
goblin-like figure.
Yes.
why do you say a shadowy shape?
Moving alongside the mist. It didn't look like it had a body, I suppose. From what I saw, was it in the mist or it seemed a thing of
Like
vapor?
putting your vision with her story together, you can see that, you can understand that a white-skinned humanoid like that would appear ghostly.
Or it could be a ghost. So it's either an albino orc.
No, it's not a ghost, she goes. It is not. It is very much alive. But I'm telling
And
you,
what does it want?
I have no idea, nobody knows. They call him the Keeper. The Keeper of what?
Keeper of what? That was fun. So I give my torch to someone to hold up on of YouTube. Let me see if I can find this figure. I'll try to be careful. I know the last time I said that a troll was running after me soon after, but this time
Yes.
This
try
time
to
you
merge
can
with the mist.
run with a troll. If
She
you
goes.
and be
She's holding a midget in her arms, and he's holding her. But she points at you. She said, "No, don't go after it. Don't go. He
Why
will
not?
trick you into something. He's different. Don't try to look for it. It's hopeless. He is the mountain. You won't reach it. He will play with you. You will lose yourself in this maze. Don't do that. I beg you."
I want to look just where the troll threw the stone to see
Okay.
if there is any track.
Tracks. While you
Just
do,
that. Do not
while you
follow
do,
the tracks. Just
while you do
just
that,
look at
Targon,
there.
how do you, Ariel, react to her warning?
that gives me pause. That does give me pause.
Okay.
So it's not just an orc. It's something probably more than that, worse than
Okay.
that.
Targon, you go
So-
there. You see that yes, there was something near the rock. You know, the rock fell, roll a couple meters or less. You know, whatever. But you see that there was this kind of like when the earth is pulled apart. You know, pushed suddenly by something who propels itself, like it jumped and runs, but then it possibly jumped from rock to rock or something. There is no track. It's not even a roll. It's not rollable.
Okay, so there is no track, no feed marks of any kind.
For a little
smell.
while, for a couple meters, but nothing consistent enough for you to go after.
No, but no, I don't want to go after it. I just want to see. So if it leaves tracks, it's physical.
It is
Yeah.
physical.
If it's physical, it bleeds, and if it bleeds, it can die.
Exactly. Yeah. well said.
Okay, and if there is a track, I can make an idea of how big his feet are, if he's wearing boots or his bare foot.
He's
how
barefoot.
deep that there.
He's barefoot
tracks
and
are,
he has claws like that.
Okay.
5 centimeters claws.
That is information. Knowing something, for me as a tracker, knowing something is fearing it less. Because
he's a meter 20.
I'd rather see the bear than not see the bear.
Yeah. You can estimate the height to be around meter 20, meter 40.
Okay. Big claws. Okay.
And very light.
Is there some kind of smell in the air? Like orcs smell very badly. So
Not particularly. Not
nothing
really.
hangs in the air. Okay.
Not too much. No.
Okay. Then I share this information with my companions.
Well, we are potentially in a dangerous situation. If it's
we are close to Mount Graham. We were already in a dangerous
Yeah, but now they
situation.
know we are here.
Murky knows.
At least,
Murky knew
yeah.
before you arrived. For sure.
Even before.
Oh, he did.
I'm sure of it.
The magpies.
Yes. I'm telling you, he is different. You don't want any dealings with this thingy. Why are you here, people? What do you do here?
That's none of your business.
Let me help you. If you have something, I don't
You
know.
will
I can
help us by
maybe.
answering some questions.
All right.
We should move somewhere else. Maybe this
Yes.
Murky really knows everything. But supposing that he knows we are here, if we move somewhere else, maybe he won't know it. At least
I don't
not
like this
immediately.
place. It's very exposed.
If anything happen, I will cover you. I'll just tell them that you're the new recruits. That I have warg immunity. That I have Krit the Goblin-captain. You know, we're covered. I mean,
What about me? Says.
just hide those pointy ears and we'll be fine. Play your role as long as it's needed in case we do need it to. You know, we can come up with something.
Elves don't have pointy ears, so it's not a problem.
Why?
Yeah, I think you're right. Actually,
What?
it's not mentioned anywhere in the shape.
Yeah,
of the
exactly.
Yeah, that's right.
Red Dog. I'm afraid to ask this, but what should we do with your folk? I mean, we already have in tow a midget troll, an ally that we don't know if we can fully trust, and we're being followed by something that we don't know exactly what it is. I don't think we don't have the luxury of dealing also with another prisoner that is mostly mad. But I think you should be the one deciding his fate.
I breathe deeply. We cannot kill him. Not in his state. We can either leave him here bound to die, or leave him free.
Okay.
Does he look? He looks completely insane anyway. At the moment.
And I
As
tell you,
he's
it's more than
sleeping
that.
now, he's not having those convulsions anymore. He seems to have some kind of rest.
I come close to him slowly.
Okay.
I stare. I look towards him. I stare at him. What
Yeah.
is
I
he
think
doing?
he's sleeping, right?
He looks completely spent and bleak and dirty. He's young, huh? He's not 30. He's 20, 24, 22. He's a young lad.
As young
And-
as me, I suppose.
He doesn't breathe. But, you know, you don't see. It's hard for you to judge, you know. You've been betrayed. He left you for dead. He tried to kill you. He stole your, you know, someone very dear to you. It's hard to feel compassion for this man, but what's left? There must be something human left in him. Although what you saw, truly, what happened, the shock, you know, the when against Ariel, this you felt something was wrong, you know, and you believe, you feel Ariel, you know, when he tells something.
Mm.
You know the wisdom of elves, and
I try to draw his attention, eagle eyes attention, to wake him up.
he wakes up.
Does he look at me?
Yes.
Does,
He looks like he's going to break. He looks so brittle and weak, you know. He looks up at you. He's nearly sucking a stone. Thirsty.
Why did you have Aducinda kidnapped? Elrich, why did you do it?
Because that's
I
the
called him
price this
by-
bitch wanted from me. I was in love with Oswalda. She betrayed me. He wanted me to give something in exchange for joining them. Oswalda looks in shame. He said it's
But
true.
why did you come asking for help from my grandfather?
I wanted to get rid of you. I knew you were going to go after her. I told you. I'm sorry. Because you deserved it. He suddenly snaps like that. Because you deserved it. Throw a valor. He does this typical Peter Jacksonian snap.
Yeah, that the Exorcist snap actually.
Yes. Okay, go. That's a fail. Yeah, you take 1 point of shadow, I'm afraid. And you go.
Where do I put it? Yeah, shadow. Okay. Is it
Temporary.
temporary?
No, wait, I don't know.
Or is it stun? Yeah. Is it temporary?
Yeah, it is. And
Feel
he goes
that if we let him go-
he goes for your but he's too weak, you know. He tries to grab you, to hurt you, you know, to sort of catch one of your ears and pull you know, this tuft of your beard. But he's too weak, you know. You just dominate him, you know. He cannot move.
I kick him a couple of times in the chest, in the belly somewhere, just to put
Okay.
him back to sleep in a sense.
And so you do. And so it is done.
Ariel says, I fear that we have no good choices here. We have to choose the least bad of a number of choices. If we let him go, then I fear he may come back to haunt us in the future, because I don't think he has been touched by the shadow in some significant way. But I do agree with Targon that we can't carry him around. I mean, we already are in a perilous situation.
Well,
So
I was thinking we actually can carry him. We have a troll.
You do.
but at any point, if we need silence, if we need to be quiet and stealthy, then that will be a perennial problem that we'll be creating for ourselves.
Yes, but doing the right thing is usually recognized because it's the difficult thing to do.
Oswalda goes, "You don't have to take care about him. I will. He's my responsibility after all. I dragged him into this. I lured him into this trap. I shall pay the price. I will endeavor to redeem him, just as I will redeem myself. I will look for a medicine. I will look
Very
for
well.
some way. If he becomes a beast, then I will terminate him."
Okay, you mentioned that they took dwarves as well as men into the fortress. Do you know recently if dwarves have been taken in, have been captured? Did you yourself capture dwarves, or do you know of dwarves that have been captured?
She looks at you with her eyes like injected with blood by too much crying and tears, and she is dried, she cannot cry anymore, but if she could possibly, she would tear again. Yes, I do know about the dwarf. Even
What was
two.
his name?
True.
He called himself Foy. Okay.
I try to not show any reaction in my face when she says the name.
He was looking for a way in. He said he was after his good friend. I can't remember his name. Nulin? Something like that. He was after him.
And then what happened?
He just... Well... We made... friends. I lured him into a trap. And... so he could sort of, spend the evening. I offered him food. We laughed. He was a good man, actually. A good companion he must have been. He told me that his friend Durin was onto something. And he had a hint. Something grave. Something important was to be... I don't know. He was secretive, dwarves? They don't talk to anyone like that. Particularly strangers at the foot of such a place. Such a mountain. Anyway, we soon cut the conversation short and we bound the guy. And he was much cleverer than any of us. He made it out. He took off during the night. Before we gave him to the orcs, just as we planned. Just as we boasted, we were already seeing ourselves rich. But we know they pay a good price for dwarves. But the boy took off. And he left into the maze. Crazy dwarf. We ran after him. But he fell in a trap. You know, those orc traps? Pretty well made. Still for some kind of orcish design, they do work. And they did their work. And the rocks fell. And we never seen him again.
Can you bring us to the place where he was trapped, in a sense? Where he died?
Sure. Sure I can. I noted that on my map. Have you looked in the chest there? She points
So he
at...
died. He did die from the trap. Is that right?
That's
Apparently.
what he says.
Well,
But we can...
he fell under the trap, yeah. But we haven't found the body. We didn't look too much.
Okay.
We
Then
took
it's time
we
to-
took him from dead. We took him for dead and we left. I noted the spot on my map.
How long
anyway, I
ago?
remember. 3 weeks. Maybe a month. 3 weeks, let's say.
Does this match our time frame, like of the second dwarf? Okay.
Precisely.
When the wretched orc that we had said that they had a dwarf inside that talked a lot with their boss, so that implied that the other dwarf has been in there for longer, right?
Yeah.
Right. Precisely.
Okay. So this is starting to fall into place. Good. So we have a picture of it.
Yeah.
At
Do you
least if
want-
we survive, we can tell something to her.
Maybe if we can find some traces of this fellow boy. Or maybe we can find he himself by a stroke of luck.
She points at the chest where some of her her tools and stuff and is there, There's this chest in the camp.
Still my heart is sore. I'm thinking of Adosinda.
She isn't lost. They like their slaves. That's why they buy good money for them. They won't kill her. That's the point. She is there.
How much time do we have before we can find?
How much time before what?
Before she's
The
sold?
tracks are too old before
I-
the
I told you, this happened too long ago. I don't know what they could have done with her. I told you. Maybe
Long
they
ago?
used her. Maybe.
How long ago?
Well, you tell me, Massey.
Well,
that's like 6 months ago, something like that. What do you think? Because by the time you did the trip, took you another 2 weeks to the north. You stayed 2 weeks at Targons. It took you possibly a month to cross, or 2 weeks to cross over.
I mean, she has been abducted maybe 4 months ago, I would say, maximum.
Voila,
3-4
yeah.
months ago.
Yeah, something like
But
that.
then, how long ago has she... also, Oswalda had to do all the trip as well, so it must have taken quite a while for
Yeah.
her to get here.
Yeah, so I'd say it's this. She was sold to the hillman. I don't know, possibly between 2 and 3 months ago or something like it. Yeah, do you think that's reasonable? I didn't
would
do
say
the
2
math like
months,
that.
maybe.
Say
Probably 2 months ago could be reasonable, but
Yeah.
But given that they had discussed this yesterday, I thought it was more recent than 2 months ago.
Yeah. We kept talking about this. I was trying to dodge him for a while. I didn't want him to know that I sold her, blah. He was such a complicated man. She looks at him with pity. With a kind of a snarl. Fuck.
We should probably amordaza. How you say when you put something to cover the guy's mouth?
Gagging.
Because otherwise he could cry for help or something. But
Well,
Look in the
let's go
chest.
try to find this door. Let's do practical things to take your mind out of it.
My map in the chest. It shows the way, but I will lead you there if you want to. With my map you should find a place, but I don't know, in case the orcs find you on the way, I'd rather have me with you to, you know, just like we said.
and what about the troll? He's a creature of a shadow as well.
Yes.
You will not be able to keep him forever. You should send him away even now.
He could not survive alone. He was raised by me. I found it. He was just a baby and something. It was charming, believe it or not. Anyway, I don't want to think about that.
Never thought of troll women, but I'd rather not.
But he's different. I've raised him well. He listens to me.
Maybe. But
He's not a
still,
raging troll. He's
still
not
in his
mad.
heart, in his heart dwells.
You see,
The
the troll
spark
is
of shadow.
playing this kind of game. He's throwing little pebbles at a bow, you know. Bow. He's trying to knock off some fallen branches. He's pretty agile.
Let's look at this chest and see what's in there. Maybe.
Nothing much.
While you
Nothing
look
much.
at this chest, I would like to pile some rocks on the bodies of the two guys we killed.
Very
I mean,
good.
it's not a burial, but
Very
it's
good.
not like leaving their corpses there.
Yeah. You mentioned that you're being secretive and you played according to that. Now you're piling rocks on corpses. You're doing well. Very good. In the chest, nothing really, like, you know, fire kit to light fire, some kind of dry kindle branches, hunting knives, a rope, 6 torches,
Okay, I think we could
map?
use some of that. No map?
a rope, 6 torches, and a map.
And a map, okay.
And what about your money, woman?
It's buried.
Said
It's buried
said you
somewhere
got-
else. I didn't trust my
You
men
said-
that far. I buried it somewhere secret.
if we need to rescue and buy back Adosinda, we will need that money.
I understand.
Practical. But I think for myself, the practical. I like it.
Very good. So, the map, paper, dirty paper, just a bad map, like according to your, you know, you can see that there isn't really a sense of the north or whatever. A really bad map. She draws it. She drew it.
Right.
She drew it. Still, you can make for the main entrance of Mount Graham. Sort of like the worst way to go there. You know, the most obvious way to go there. Sort of like a, you know, bad description, picture description of the maze. A way to go down back toward the river, exit the valley of Mount Graham, basics. And this little note somewhere There's no name, nothing, no header. Just there's the path that leads to this. And she goes, in case you're nearby her, she'll point, yeah. This way, this boy, dwarf, disappeared.
And
Did you
how
tell
far-
the dwarves about? Did you tell the orcs about this dwarf?
Well, we had a deal with them, yes. Yes, they knew
So
I
you-
was coming with something.
But so you told them
I
that
did,
there
yes.
was a dwarves around.
Yes. I had to
And
make
what
it
did
appeal.
they answer?
They were ready to take on the deal. But I didn't talk to Krit at the time, just a randomer. To organize the meeting. So they were ready. But I came empty-handed. They didn't really like that. So I had to give one
Do
of
they
my men
know- Did they
instead.
try to find the dwarf? Did they go to the place where the trap was and try to locate his body?
The
in any
orcs?
way? Or-
I don't know, I don't spy on orcs. That's the last thing you want to do. You know, you want to inspire trust. As much as you do. Have you ever tried to understand what's in their mind?
No,
Don't get me
and I don't
started.
want to
Don't get me started.
ever try. Okay, and based on her imperfect map, how far away would that place be if we wanted to go there and explore and search around? What would that would be 1 day trip or
No,
longer, or-
no, the 2-3 hours max.
Okay.
It's in the middle of the maze somewhere. You know, they had this chase. They chased the dwarf. He activated a trap. They lost track of him. 2 hours away. Up.
Okay.
And you
that's what I
have
do.
the map and you look up. And that's sort of what, you know, the sort of alternate version of what we have now in the scene in Foundry. You see that basically that
Mhm.
the maze in front of you. Apart from the fact that there is so much fog where you are in this bowl, in this recess, you know, in the brigand camps, you cannot see just this bleak canopy of unfeatured grayness, just you're bathed in mist.
Okay, so I share this with the rest, and I tell them I think that would be the clearest route to trying to fulfill at least part of our mission, because that would be searching around that place would be probably our best bet of finding at least one of the scouts who came here.
Yes.
Actually, if we find this one, we know where both of them are.
Yes. Yes. And I would consider one to be out of our reach, the one inside the mountain, if he's even still alive. So I propose that we go after.
Oh, but
that
your
we go to
goblin,
this place.
your goblin mentioned he was alive. The goblin straggler that you captured and
Yeah,
tortured.
that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Okay.
he said that he was talking to Radgul. Radgul made him talk.
Yeah.
That would be amazing if we could just somehow send them a message, like
Yeah.
we are doing this stupid thing of entering Angmar. Just so you know, if we don't come back, please know that we are dead. Do not send a fourth expedition looking for us.
It's not Angmar, it's just Mount Graham, so it will be
Yes,
like
sorry,
a walk
Graham.
in the park.
Name a river or a lake after us, and then don't come after us. Yeah. So
just like, or we did this and then we left because we are looking for some girl that you don't know, but it's complicated, Master Elrond. We are sorry. So,
I
you
mean,
know,
if our former companion, that would have been something useful he could do, right? As he left, was to take a message, but I guess that's too far.
None of us knows that useful things like talking to a bird and say the bird, okay, go to find Master Elrond and tell him this. I think that dwarves could do that, but no, we cannot. Well, anyway,
Okay.
let's
So
do practical stuff to
Yes.
take all the gloom and doom from our heads.
What
I
about
think Red
the
Dog needs that.
what about the six torches and
we
the
need
rope?
to-
That's
we
the
need to
last
find
time I'm
this
gonna
rope.
mention
At
them.
least it's directly our mission. So I feel that we are not ignoring the mission that Master Elrond entrusted us.
We'll take a quickie breaky. Before that, I want to know: are you headed with Oswalda to the place where the lost track of Foy?
Yes.
Yes.
With Oswalda, with Midget, with Eagle,
Crazy.
With Eagle Eye
Eyes,
too. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
everything. The full mod.
And murky, I can imagine.
And
I
Murky.
am not very hope. I don't know if I like this idea of now we have a whole entourage behind us.
Yes,
But at least for
it's like
now, okay, that's fine.
you don't choose your bedfellows, right? It's like a troll, a traitor woman, and a crazed
Traitor man.
So,
yeah, wonderful.
I mean,
And-
it's like, come on. The things are this bleak, and we have just started.
An
But
unexpected
as we have a
journey.
saying, back in the Grey Havens, from the quality of your company, you can determine the quality of the person. Well, we would be really bad according to that criteria. So let's say, hope that the wisdom of the elves is not complete, at least this one time.
I must disagree, Master Elf, because even in all this bleakness, we saw a glimmer of hope and a
You
grand
did.
gesture from our companion Red Dog that found in himself to have mercy for some people that have wronged him so deeply, and I found that inspiring. So I would say, as one good friend of mine always say, there is still good in this world, and it's worth fighting for.
Very
Well,
good.
You have wisdom, my
That's
friend.
actually from Tolkien. So
Your good friend Tolkien. Let's take
The
a
great chronicler of this
a
land.
quickie breaky and see you in a few minutes.
Okay, see you.
I love it,
See ya.
guys. Thank you so much.
So many different versions of a story
Okay.
because Ronald Tolkien, wrote the first version in 1917, which is the so-called Book of the Lost Tales. Then he wrote a version that was a very short sketch in the late 20s. And then he wrote the first version of a Quenta Silmarillion that was called Quenta Noldoringu, I think, in 1930. Then immediately before writing The Lord of the Rings, he started writing the Quenta Silmarillion in the version that is quite similar
Right.
to the one that was published. But the problem is that he didn't finish that. He
Yeah.
stopped basically after the Battle of the Unnumbered Tears. Then
Mhm.
after The Lord of the Rings, he started rewriting it again. But again, he started especially rewriting the very beginning, especially the part of, the awakening of the elves,
Mhm.
the destruction of the trees, especially that part. And then he started focusing on some philosophical aspects of his world. But he completely, in a sense, he never provided a conclusion, especially to some stories like the fall of Gondolin and the destruction of Doriath. So what Christopher Tolkien had to do, it was to kind of squash all these different versions written in different periods of the life of Tolkien father, and many of them in contradictions with each other, without any possibility of aligning all of them. And he kind of created the Silmarillion as published, which is actually a kind of an artifice that he made not on his own. I mean, most of it is verbatim what Tolkien did, but what Tolkien said, but many of those things, like some of them are from the 50s, some of them are from the 30s, some of them from the late 20s. Sorry for this very long-winded story. But the thing is that after Christopher published the Silmarillion, the funny thing, actually, in an interview, he says he dreamt of his father, and his father was telling him, "What have you done?" basically. And after that, he was kind of, because he started having some doubts after he published the Silmarillion that he had too heavily edited the material, especially about the fall of Gondolin and the destruction of Doriath. And after that dream, he basically started, well, at least that's what, but I have a good appreciation of him overall. I don't think he wanted to monetize on, but what he did, he started publishing the historical, so all the actual material his father had written across the whole epochs, basically. So the first version, the Book of the Lost Tales, clearly stating what Tolkien had written and what was his commentaries along that. So they're not, and he published 12 books that are called the History of Middle-earth, which tells all the stories from the 1910s all the way till the end. And basically, after, so the version of the story of Túrin that there is in the Silmarillion is basically taken from some, it's mostly taken from the so-called Grey Annals that were written in the 50s, but it's a kind of short version of a story. But in parallel, in the 50s, actually, Tolkien tried to write down a long version of the story of Túrin, but he never managed again to finish it. So he had, again, many drafts, many of them in conflict with one another. Some parts were clearly well written, but some parts in the middle were not that clear. And so Christopher, after publishing the 12 books of a history of Middle-earth and blah, 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 at some point in the early 2000s decided to publish also a kind of a collection. It's again a bit of what he did with the Silmarillion, because he kind of put together many pieces that did not belong to the same version. And he said, maybe it's not exactly what my father thought, but everything I've written down were his exact words, probably from different times. So actually, The Children of Úrin, it's edited by the song, probably also a bit heavily, but most of what's written in there, it's Tolkien's word, and it's a longer version of the story.
It's good? Is it good?
I liked it. I liked it.
Me too. I'm reading it now, and you can feel that it's not Tolkien's voice, Tolkien's father Tolkien voice, but because the writing is different, the way the phrases, the style isn't
right.
exactly.
It's his writing. It's his writing. The only thing is that he didn't. Some of the pieces are taken from different versions of his drafts, but it's, at least from what Christopher says, he hasn't written a sentence that was not from his father. Let's say notes. It's a bit like the Silmarillion in the sense it's not like reading The Lord of the Rings. It's more terse, if you like, and dark as well. But I think it's worth.
Sorry, no, I think there is too much respect for Tolkien for our own good as Tolkien fans. I mean, I would be more pleased than anyone if somebody told, I don't know, Brandon Sanderson, please write 10 more books in this world that Tolkien created. I don't care if it's not written by Tolkien himself. It's good books written in a world I love.
No,
So
but
please.
it has to be well written. Brandon Sanderson doesn't come even close to Tolkien. It's not even close to Tolkien in terms of quality. That's the problem. If they found a writer as good as Tolkien, then yes, I agree with you. But that's
I
hard to
will
find.
agree to disagree with you here. Because Tolkien is a great world creator and he's a great philologist. But from my point of view, he's not such a great writer in certain very important aspects of it. What for me is great
I don't
writing.
consider him. I think there are many writers, classical writers like Tolstoy, Shakespeare. You can go down. There are many writers that are better than Tolkien. But I'm talking about this kind of fantasy. I don't know anyone who's better than Tolkien, or in fact comes even close. If you,
But that depends on
literary writers, but fantasy writers like Tolkien.
But that depends on what you are interested in these stories. For example, Tolkien is great in the Legendarium. He creates a great world. And some of his characters are quite good, but a lot of his characters are completely plain.
I agree.
They don't have any depth. There is
but
no
do you think Brother
introspection.
is better? I read
No,
one book by Brother Sanderson. Just to be clear, I'm not an specialist, but I actually didn't read anything other from him because I just thought his writing was very plain. I don't know. I just didn't like him at all.
I don't know. I mean, for example, I hate Martin because the motherfucker has been for 20 years living on his success and not finishing his bloody saga. Okay? I hate him. But I have to admit, when it comes to deep characters, interesting characters, he's much better than Tolkien in this aspect. Then again, he does not world building because he takes 90% of medieval England and the war between the Yorks and Lancasters and other things and just put the patina of fantasy over it and that's it. I mean, he doesn't invent, right? As Tolkien did, but it's different ingredients of what is the writing. And Tolkien is very good in some things, but very limited in others, I think. I mean, it's my opinion, okay? And I mean no disrespect. Agree. I love Tolkien.
Tolkien is a mix, but I mean, for example, these others that you mentioned, Martin, and again, I read two books by Martin, the first two books of Game of Song of Ice and Fire. I'm fine. It's just that his writing doesn't. Tolkien, there are many parts of the writing that I think are just passable, but the parts that are good are truly memorable. I didn't find anything that is truly memorable about like Martin or Sanderson. Bear in mind that I only read a couple of books from each, so. But that's the thing.
Yeah, no. Yeah. I mean, obviously, each one of us has different likes and dislikes of the, let's say, the proportion of ingredients, right? Some people, for example, don't care about characters and want amazing facts to happen. For example, take Asimov, The Foundations. Amazing things happen, but there is not a fucking memorable character. I mean, the characters are completely...
Any memorable paragraph or anything. It's just very plain writing here.
But he's one of the great writers, right? His imagination about
I would definitely not call him a great writer. I mean, it depends on what.
I would say from a historical point of view, that epoch when Tolkien and Asimov were writing, there wasn't as much attention to character as there is nowadays. So I guess if Tolkien were to be, obviously it's completely hypothetical, it doesn't even make sense. But if Tolkien were to be published today, there would be, like, he would write with much more attention to character. Because there has been, it's like, I won't go that way, but you could say it's like comparing Giotto with Donatello. There was no perspective when Giotto was writing.
Absolutely. He wrote in the age he wrote, and he did it in that age style, like any painter, any sculptor. He wrote in that age style. I mean, even I think that nowadays Shakespeare would be. I mean, I think Shakespeare is important because he's important in the age he's important, but nowadays
he's important. He's the greatest writer of all time, in my humble.
But
so there you go.
Come to think of some of the things he writes, like there is a Manichaeism,
That's
then there
magic
is
with
a lot
words.
of ex machina.
He does magic with words. It's like the Greek myths as well.
Don't get me started on Greek myths because
They are great, man.
Yeah, but there is a lot of things that. How could I put it?
The Greeks were not
Nowadays we
interested
know better than
in
to do
plotting.
those
They
things
don't,
because
they're not interested in plotting. They're interested in, I'll put before you a moral dilemma. And they go straight to the moral dilemma using one or two gods to make that happen. And then let the characters decide. I mean, it's a very different sort of style of writing. But the quality of the writing, you know,
there is not 20
years,
moral dilemmas. With the Greeks, it's always the same moral dilemma. It's like, you know your fate, you do something to avoid that fate. Doing that something makes you fall directly into that fate that you are trying to avoid. That's the Greek myth,
Oedipus.
one time and another.
That's one of them.
That's 20. Tell me 30 Greek myths and 29 are exactly like that.
There are many Greek myths with many. They had all the wisdom of those Greeks, you know. They're amazing.
Yeah, no, they invented many things that we have copied once and again. That's for sure.
Incidentally, I find it weird that there is no RPG that is set in prominent RPG that is set in Greek mythology. I mean, because that's the most very low hanging fruit, right? It's such a great setting that exists in our collective.
Well, I myself, I'm being the game master of an Ars Magica game.
Oh my God,
I don't know.
Ars Magica is great, man.
Well, then it's set in the Theban Tribunal, so in the Greek Isles. Actually, our covenant is in the Isle of Creta, where the Minoic culture. And I've done a couple stories that are very deeply embedded in Greek myth and trying to do it in a Greek tragedy kind of way of, well, the characters have so there is a civil telling them this will happen, and they do everything to try to avoid it. And it's their actions that make that happen.
Yeah, cool.
And
cool.
when they finally fall into it, it's like, oh my God, because they are conscious of this trope. They are as 21st century people and culturalized people that knows Greek myth. They are conscious of those tropes, and it doesn't matter. They end up falling for it. And I felt
it's very, very nice to see someone playing Ars Magica. It's one of my favorite systems. I only was able to play a few sessions because nobody wanted to play.
It's a great game. It's a great game. Sorry to derail this. Sorry, but yeah, Tolkien. We should respect him less to get more of him.
I don't agree, but that's fine.
No, I think respect is good, but veneration for an artist, it's too much. Shakespeare is really good, but he's not a god. He's a human. Some of the things he wrote are not good, or could be much better. And Tolkien the same, and Tolstoy and everybody, and Cervantes and everybody.
I agree. I just disagree that other people should write necessarily more of him, of his stories.
Have an end. All good stories end. That's one thing about stories. They end and there's no sequel, right? One of the most annoying things about modern culture is the sequel.
I agree, because you try to do more story, but the thing is, the stories end, but the worlds live forever.
The worlds don't exist because of the stories.
What are we doing here? We are taking this great world that was created, which is Middle Earth, and are creating a new story in it. And the world is richer for it. So I think, imagine that somebody takes Middle Earth and he's a great writer. Why is he or she not allowed to create more stories in the fourth age?
This will go into the public domain in 10 or 20 years, I think, right?
Yeah, probably.
In the 50s.
20 years.
Yeah, so that will happen in 10 or 20 years. You'll be able to do whatever you want to be like Lovecraft or anything else.
Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, we got dragged into that, huh?
Yeah.
We are real geeks.
Yeah.
That's the risk of having a break. That when you come back, you don't know what we may be talking about.
But I didn't know. You know your Tolkien very. I mean, you are deep
Yeah,
into
I'm
lore.
a big. Yeah. Actually, yeah. I've even actually published 3. It was mostly conference articles on Tolkien
Oh,
on some aspects. So.
I have to admit, I'm not so knowledgeable.
I'm not, and I must say I do it like as a hobby again, as everything, and I haven't read everything that is around, but I've been and I am still very interested. There has been a period between 2016 and 2019 where I was really quite, and that's the period when I published this. I went to some conferences of scholars and so on, and it was kind of funny because I was really doing it as a hobby, while there are people who do it as work, like they have their own PhD or postdoc on, which feels, well, you can discuss whether it's useful or useless, but besides that, it feels, I wouldn't enjoy it if it becomes like work. So I was doing it like an hobby. Then after a while, I just did it for some topics that were of interest to me, sorry. And then let's say I've put it on hold for now. But yeah, I'm quite into the man. Not the god, just the man. And possibly if I have met him, I wouldn't have liked him. That's probably, that might have been the case. But still, I appreciate him and his...
I have to say that would probably be true for any man of his age, of his
but I don't even mean maybe, I don't know.
They
but
were all probably racist and misogynist.
I'm not really much interested in that. But I mean, some people are maybe more. I don't know, like reading biography of him, of the Inklings. I had the impression that C.S. Lewis was maybe the nicest man from a companionship point of view, not from a moral point of view. I don't know about that. Maybe in that sense, Tolkien was even more coherent. But as a man you meet and you like him, I got, at least from that biography, the impression that Lewis was probably the friendliest and the nicest of the two. But still, I'm not as interested in Lewis at all as I am in Tolkien. So.
Yeah, well, his work is more child for more for oriented for children, right? For younger children.
Part of it.
The Narnia books.
Yeah. But he also wrote some essays. I read a very nice book on medieval, actually, Worldview by C.S. Lewis, which actually
that's a famous book, yeah.
Called The Discarded Image, which was really
actually was very
that was very interesting. But yeah, sorry again for
let's let our lore master to keep going into it.
Well, you guys have packed up. You've looked at the map. You're headed again for the maze. Gullies sprawling up towards the mountain invisible beyond the mist. Your company of unlikely heroes and newfound companions is making its way into this unfriendly landscape. The land is, and the ground is covered with those frozen mosses and small roots and brushes and very unfriendly place. Ariel, you sort of orient yourself mentally, you know better where you are, what direction you're taking. Targon, you start to have a good sense of the place as well. Guys, basically, you know that we're going again towards this dreadful pike, the mountain. You've been walking for an hour or so now. Midget, the pet troll of Oswalda, is keeping a keen eye on your gagged eagle eye. Is he still bound? How is exactly what is the setup in regard to Eagle Eye? He seems lost in a kind of half conscious sort of state of mind, following, not really understanding where you guys headed. If his hands are bound, he probably thinks that you're going to give him to the orcs or something. Is he gagged?
I don't think we discussed this, right? So should we?
So
He's gagged. I think that we established. I don't know about his hands or anything else. Or
well,
the rest of
obviously, if he's gagged,
Yeah,
I
yes.
suppose his hands should be tied as well, because otherwise it wouldn't take him much.
Okay.
Oops.
It defeats the purpose.
Yes.
So yeah, I
Okay.
think just to be consistent with what we said, he is gagged and his hands are tied. I guess that's
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
So
fine.
can he walk? Can he keep up our pace?
Oh yeah, the troll is.
I would
is-
say that, yeah.
The troll is at is last in line, in making sure he keeps up with the rest of the company. At some point, Oswalda points at a line going across the passage between, you're surrounded by those steep cliffs, or if not cliffs, rocks, and going steeply up. And she points at this orc trap. Everyone is just passing over, making sure not to activate the device. This is when I will ask everyone to do a traditional. Guess what?
awareness.
Oh yeah. Please. Everyone do an
No,
awareness.
no
minus,
penalty, right? This time.
-2, please.
Oh my god. Should just ask people to roll d12s. I think that's the
There you go. I
Yeah.
don't know which
Ooh,
one is
automatic
mine.
success.
Well done.
Mine is the black die.
I'm just looking for my little sorry. Good, okay. Well, Targon, let's say you're first in line, side by side with Oswalda. And you can notice, hear, and sense. Most of all, you sense. Let's say half a dozen of them. They're in the hills overhead. They're behind the rocks. And somehow they're closing in on you from all sides, atop your position.
So it's an ambush.
Oswalda notice you being startled by something, and she goes whispering to the whole group. Just look strong, look confident. Don't answer. Try not to enter a conversation or whatever. Just let me do the talking, right?